Don't open the door, Mom. He's got my backpack. My daughter's whisper hit my spine like ice. We were squeezed inside a family restroom at the Desert Ridge Mall. One toilet, one sink, one lock that never feels like enough. I had one hand on the latch, ready to bolt. The other hand was wrapped around her wrist so tight my nails dug in. On the other side of the door, a man laughed, soft, polite, like we were the embarrassing ones. I just need the little girl, he said. Her mom's right here. They're together. I could see his shoes through the crack under the door. Clean leather, expensive, not security. The shoes shifted closer, and a shadow slid over the gap. Maya pressed her face into my side. He followed us from the pretzels. She breathed. He took a picture. My brain tried to argue with my body. Maybe he had the wrong kid. Maybe he was confused. But my body didn't care about maybes. My body heard a man say he needed my 7-year-old. I pulled my phone out, flipped the camera to video, and held it low near the floor. My thumb hovered over the emergency call button, shaking so hard the screen wobbled. The handle rattled once, then again testing. Come on, the man murmured. Don't make this harder. It's for her best interest. For her best interest. That phrase. The phrase people use when they want your child and want to sound holy. Maya's voice shook. Mom? The blue tag on his belt. Like Uncle Jace's. Uncle Jace, my brother-in-law. The one who always checked on us. The one who somehow knew things I never told him. The handle rattled again. Harder. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I did the thing my job trained me to do when someone's life is sliding off a table, keep my voice flat and move fast. I hit 911 and whispered, single stall family restroom by the food court. Man outside the door trying to get in. My child is with me. Please. The dispatcher's calm voice landed like a rope. Stay inside. Lock the door. Officers are on the way. I'm locked. I breathed. He's right here, through the thin door. The man spoke into his phone, low and steady. Yeah, he said. She's cornered. Family restroom. I told you she'd panic. Told you, not guessed, not hoped. Told. Maya's lips trembled. Mom, she mouthed. He said your name. And then I heard it. Clear, as if he was in the room with us. Lena Harper, the man said, amused. Open up. We can do this the easy way. I hadn't told a soul we'd be here today. I'd switched shifts last minute. I'd paid cash for our pretzel, and someone still found us. A beep, then his voice again. Quieter, into his phone. She's recording, he said. Tell Jace it's time. Jace. Maya's nails bit into my skin. I tasted metal. And in that tiny room that smelled like lemon cleaner, I understood something terrifying. This wasn't about scaring me. This was about taking her. The first siren sounded like a miracle and a warning at the same time. The man outside our door stopped talking. His shoes pivoted, quick, like he'd rehearsed, leaving without looking guilty. Steps retreated. Officers are on scene, the dispatcher said. Stay locked. Boots hit tile. Radios crackled. Phoenix Police! Step away from the door. Someone knocked 3 firm taps. Ma'am? It's Officer Delaney. I checked the floor gap first because fear makes you ridiculous. Uniform pants. Badge. I unlocked and opened. Delaney's eyes went straight to Maya. Are you hurt? Maya shook her head, but her voice came out thin. He took my backpack. The male officer glanced down the hall. Security has a male detained, near the carousel. We'll retrieve the bag. Detained. Not arrested. My heart hated that word. They walked us to the security office behind a door marked Employees Only. A guard pulled up cameras, probably expecting confused customer drama. Then the footage played, and his face changed. On screen, the man leaned close to our door, listening. Matively, off, listening. While I was whispering to 911, he crouched, slid a hooked stick under the gap, snagged Maya's backpack from near my feet, and walked away like he'd just checked something off a list. No rush, no hesitation, just ownership. Officer Delaney said it flat. "We're treating this as attempted abduction." Maya's eyes were huge. "My bunny's in there," she whispered, like the bunny was the only thing in the world that mattered. "We'll get it back," Delaney promised, but her eyes stayed hard. My phone buzzed. "Jace," I declined. He called again. Again. Delaney watched my screen. "Who is that?" "My brother-in-law," I said. "Ben's brother." "Answer," she said. "Speaker." I swallowed and hit accept. "Jace." His relief sounded polished. "Lena, thank God. I saw a post cops at the mall. Are you and Maya okay? This happened 10 minutes ago," I said. "How did you see a post that fast?" He laughed lightly. "Neighborhood groups. Alerts. Because I worry." "Where are you right now?" he asked. "I'm coming." "No," I said. "Do not come." His tone tightened. Still gentle. "Don't do this. You're shaken. You need family." "I have family," I said, looking at Maya. A beat. Then he lowered his voice. "Is Ben's ring still on your dresser?" My stomach flipped. That wasn't a guess. That was a message. "I know your house." Delaney leaned toward the phone. "Sir, this is Officer Delaney with Phoenix Police. Where are you calling from?" The line went dead. At the station, under fluorescent lights that made everything look sick, an officer asked, "Does anyone have a custody claim? Any relatives petitioning?" "No," I said. "Her father is dead. I'm her mother." The officer's pen hovered. "Grandparents? Aunts? Uncles?" My phone buzzed again, unknown number. A photo of Maya's school pickup line. "Today. Taken from far away." Caption: "You can't keep her from her real family." My hands went numb. Delaney saw it, and her jaw hardened. "That's not concern," she said. Maya tugged my sleeve and whispered, "Mom, Uncle Jace always checks my pockets." I blinked. "Checks your pockets?" "When he hugs me," she said, ashamed, like she'd done something wrong. His hands go pat, 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 like he's searching. I went cold. Because last month, when she complained about it, I'd smiled and told her he was just being silly. I'd taught her to excuse the feeling in her stomach. Down the hallway, the man from the mall sat on a bench, legs crossed, calm as a dentist. He looked up at me and smiled like we were in a meeting. "Miss Harper," he said softly, "your sister-in-law really wants what's best for Maya." Ever one. My mouth went dry. "I don't have a sister-in-law." He lifted his brows. "You do now." Jace didn't have a wife. Not anymore. His marriage had imploded right after Ben's funeral. I remembered because Jace had shown up at my apartment with grief in his eyes and said, "Don't ever leave me alone like this." And I'd assumed he meant Ben. So sister-in-law made my brain snap through possibilities that didn't fit. The man offered his hand. "Gavin Ross," he said, "licensed investigator. I was retained to document your child's well-being." I didn't shake his hand. I wanted to break it. Officer Delaney stepped between us. "You entered a restroom area and attempted to take property from a child," she said. "Your credentials don't protect you from charges." Gavin's smile didn't fade. "I never entered," he said smoothly. "And I didn't take the child. The bag was unsecured. It was in a locked room," I snapped. He tilted his head like I was the unstable one. "A locked door doesn't erase safety concerns," he said. "Not when a minor may be neglected." "Neglected," Because I work nights. Because I'm tired. Because my grief isn't pretty. I'm a 911 dispatcher. I spend 12 hours telling strangers how to survive the worst thing happening to them. When my shift ends, I go home and try to be a mom with a voice that still works. Ben used to kiss my forehead and say, "Thanks for keeping people alive." Now I was sitting across from a man building a case that I wasn't even keeping my own child safe. Delaney brought Maya and me into an interview room. Maya sat on a chair too big for her, feet dangling, clutching my sleeve like she could anchor herself. "Honey," I asked gently, "has anyone ever asked you questions about me? About our house? About who watches you?" She nodded immediately. "A lady did." My skin prickled. "What lady? What?" "At Grandma Nita's church," she said, frowning. She had shiny teeth. She said she was a teacher. Grandma Nita, Ben's mother, the woman who called me sweetheart while counting my weaknesses like she was doing inventory. What did she ask? I kept my voice light, even though my stomach felt like it was twisting. Maya looked down. "If you sleep a lot, if you yell, if I have dinner, if I'm scared when I'm alone." She hesitated, and she asked if I'd rather live somewhere quieter, like my life was too loud to be legal. A knock. Another officer stepped in with a folder. "We recovered the backpack," he said, "from the investigator's bag." Maya's face lit for half a second. "My bunny." "It's inside," the officer said, softer. "But we need to process it." Maya's lip trembled. "But it smells like home." I swallowed hard and nodded like a grown-up, even though I wanted to rip the bag out of his hands and run. Delaney flipped through the folder, then slid a printout across the table to me. A spreadsheet. My work schedule. My overtime. My sick days. Notes in the margin like a gossip column. Late again. Missed pickup once, neighbor took child. Emotional episode at work. There were timestamps. There were names. My hands shook. Where did he get this? Delaney's jaw tightened. Someone with access. Or someone who knows you well enough to watch. I thought of Jace dropping by my building with groceries I never asked for. I thought of Nita just happening to call right as my shift ended. I thought of how Jace always knew when Maya's school had an early release, even when I hadn't told him. Then Maya leaned in, voice tiny. "Mom, Uncle Jace told me not to tell you something." My heart stopped. "What?" She stared at the table, cheeks pink with shame. He said, "If anyone asks, I should say I sleep at Grandma Nita's on Tuesdays." I blinked. "You don't." "I know," she whispered. "He said it's just in case." Just in case. That's when I realized the scariest part wasn't the man at the mall. It was how long my family had been practicing this. If you're still here, hit like and subscribe, because what I learned next didn't just flip the story. It proved they'd been preparing to separate us for months. Gavin wouldn't give a name, but he admitted his client was a relative by marriage, and that a custody petition was being prepared. Delaney didn't sugarcoat it. "They're building a case," she said. "If they file emergency custody, it moves fast." That night I drove Maya to my sister Talia's apartment. I kept checking the mirrors like I was being followed. Maya sat in the back seat holding a stuffed dinosaur from the victim advocate, her eyes too old for her face. Talia opened the door, took one look at us, and pulled us inside. "Talk," she said. While Maya watched cartoons in the other room, Talia and I sat at her kitchen table and scrolled through my phone. Every checking in from Nita. Every "what time is pickup?" from Jace. Every time he'd asked, casual as breathing, "Who's with Maya tonight?" It wasn't support. It was data collection. Then Talia said something that made my skin prickle. "Lena, why does Jace have access to your mailbox. What? I frowned. He does, she insisted. I saw him open your mailbox last month, like he owned it. My stomach rolled. I thought the landlord gave him a spare, I whispered. And even as I said it, it sounded stupid. The next morning, I went back to my building for proof. I parked where I could see the lobby without being seen and waited like I was staking out my own life. At 7:18 a.m., Jace walked in like he belonged. No knock, no text. Straight to the mailboxes with a set of keys. My hands shook as I filmed through my windshield. He opened my box, slid envelopes into his pocket, then paused and looked around like a kid who'd stolen candy. Then he knocked on Mrs. Ortiz's door, my neighbor who sometimes watched Maya when my shift ran late. Mrs. Ortiz opened with a smile. Jace handed her an envelope. Her smile faded like a light switched off. He left. Calm, clean, like he'd just delivered cookies, not threats. I waited until he was gone, then ran upstairs and knocked. Mrs. Ortiz opened, eyes wide. Lena, she breathed. Honey, I was going to call you. What did he give you? I asked. Her hands trembled as she held up the envelope. It's a letter, she said, from a lawyer. It says I'm being subpoenaed. Subpoenaed. Over babysitting my daughter twice a month. They asked me about you, she whispered. They asked if you leave Maya alone, if you come home angry, if you drink. 9. I stared at her. Do I? I asked, voice flat. Mrs. Ortiz's eyes filled. No, she said. But he made it sound like if I don't cooperate, I'll get in trouble. I walked into my apartment and immediately felt it. Something was off. Not missing, not destroyed, just moved. Papers shifted. A drawer closed too neatly. The kind of wrong you only notice when it's your own space. I opened my closet and found a small black device taped to the inside wall, hidden behind a shoebox. A tracker. My hands shook as I ripped it free. Then came a knock at my door. Another knock. Soft, and a voice I knew too well. Gentle, through the wood. Lena? It's me. I brought soup, Grandma Nita. I stood in my living room, holding a tracker like a grenade. Maya wasn't here, but I was alone. And she sounded like she was smiling. I didn't open the door. I called Officer Delaney and whispered, She's here. Delaney didn't ask who she was. She just said, Record. Don't engage. Are your doors locked? Yes. I breathed. Eyes fixed on the peephole. Nita knocked again. Slow and patient. Like she had all day. Sweetheart, she called. You've been through so much. I'm worried about you. Soup. Always soup. Something warm to hold while she tells you you're failing. I started recording on my phone and spoke loud enough for the mic to catch. You need to leave. A pause. Then the sigh, almost tender. This is exactly why we're worried, she said. You're spiraling. We. I repeated. Voice flat. Who is we? She didn't answer. She never answered directly. Maya needs stability, she said instead. A home where she's not dragged into chaos. A home where she can sleep. I tightened my grip on the tracker. You tracked us, I said. You tracked your granddaughter. Her voice stayed sweet. If you had nothing to hide, you wouldn't be afraid. A second set of footsteps in the hallway building security. A male voice said, Ma'am, you can't block the walkway. Nita laughed lightly. I'm not blocking, she said. I'm visiting family. Isn't that what we're supposed to do? Then she went for my throat. Ben would be so disappointed, she said softly. That name still had teeth. I shut my eyes. He'd be heartbroken to see you refusing help. She continued. He'd want Maya with people who have time, people who can be present. I snapped. Ben would want his mother to stop hunting his child. Her tone tightened for the first time. Careful, she said. You're emotional. There it was, the label she needed. Then the doorknob turned. My heart slammed. The deadbolt was locked, but the knob turned again like someone had a key. Nita, I said, voice cracking. What are you doing? What are you doing? She didn't answer. The knob turned again. Then the door opened, 2 inches stopped only by the chain lock I'd started using after Ben died. I saw her eye through the gap. Calm, certain. You see? She whispered. You're not safe alone. Trait. I lunged, shoved the door closed with my whole body, and slammed the deadbolt again like it could erase what I'd just learned. They had keys to my life. Footsteps thundered on the stairs. Voices. Police! Step back from the door. Delaney pushed into my apartment, eyes scanning. You okay? I held up the tracker with shaking fingers. Found this, I said. And she has a key. Delaney's jaw clenched. She turned to Nita in the hallway. Ma'am, you are being detained for questioning. Nita's tears arrived instantly. Detained? She gasped. Officer, I'm a grandmother. I'm trying to protect my granddaughter from a mother who… Stop, Delaney cut in. You can explain at the station. As they led her away, Nita looked straight at me, cold under the tears. When the judge sees how unstable you are, she said softly, don't blame me. I picked Maya up from Talia's that night. I didn't tell her Nita tried to use a key. Kids shouldn't have to carry adult terror. But Maya looked up at me, serious. Mom, she said, Grandma Nita told me I might live with her soon. My breath caught. When did she say that? Last week, Maya said, twisting her fingers. Uncle Jace drove me to her house. She gave me hot chocolate and said, if you keep making bad choices, I'll stay with her. She said it'll be peaceful. Delaney's call came an hour later. They filed, she said. Emergency petition. First hearing is in 48 hours. 48 hours. 2 days to prove I deserved my own child. Court smells like old carpet and stale coffee. Talia sat behind me, her hand on my shoulder. Maya wasn't there. I couldn't let her watch grown adults argue over her like she was a prize. Across the aisle, Grandma Nita wore pearls and grief like armor. Jace sat beside her in a navy suit, posture perfect, eyes fixed on me like he was rehearsing sympathy. Next to him sat a blonde woman I'd never met, holding a leather folder with both hands. Nita's attorney opened with the same story they'd been building for weeks. I work nights. I'm erratic. I had police involvement at a mall. Therefore, my daughter needed stability. I had Dunas. My attorney stood and kept his voice calm. The mall incident was a documented stalking attempt, he said. A private investigator hired by the petitioners pursued the mother and child and attempted to take the child's backpack from a locked restroom. Police intervened. The judge's expression changed. A private investigator? He repeated. Nita dabbed her eyes. I didn't want to, she whispered. But Lena won't accept help. Maya deserves a peaceful home. Then Jace stood, and my stomach twisted. He spoke like a man reading a script. After Ben passed, Lena changed, he said. She's overwhelmed. I've tried to step in. She needs support, and Maya needs a father figure. Father figure. Like my husband, was a job opening. He gestured toward the blonde woman. And we can offer a 2-parent home. The woman stood with a soft smile. Erin Caldwell, she said. Jace and I are engaged. Engaged. So that's why the investigator called someone my sister-in-law. They were selling a ready-made replacement family. Erin added, We have a home with a yard, a quiet neighborhood. I'm a former elementary teacher. I understand children. My attorney asked her 2 questions, and her smile tightened immediately. Did you approach Maya at church and ask questions about her mother's behavior? He said. I was just being friendly, Aaron replied. Too fast. My attorney turned to the judge. Your Honor, we have evidence of coordinated surveillance, he said. A tracking device found in Miss Harper's apartment. Mail accessed without permission. Work schedules obtained without consent. And we have 911 audio of the investigator saying, "Tell Jace, it's time." Anning. The judge ordered the audio played. Gavin's voice filled the courtroom. Tell Jace it's time. Jace's jaw clenched. The judge looked at him. Mr. Harper, he said, did you direct anyone to locate the child that day? Jace swallowed. I was worried, he said. My mother was worried. We just wanted to make sure Maya was safe. Safe, the judge repeated, flat. A tracking device was discovered inside the mother's home. Did you place it? Jace glanced sideways, quick. My mom asked me to install a safety tag, he said. I didn't know what it was. The judge's gaze cut to Nita. Ma'am, he said, did you have keys made to the mother's residence? Nita's voice shook on cue. Only for emergencies. And did you attempt to enter her home without consent? The judge asked. Nita pressed a tissue to her lips, performing heartbreak. I was terrified, she whispered. She wouldn't answer. I just needed to know my granddaughter was okay. My hands tightened in my lap. They were turning their crimes into my flaws, like they always do. The judge leaned back. This court does not reward vigilantism, he said. He looked at me. Miss Harper, do you believe your child is safe with these relatives, unsupervised? This was the moment they wanted me to fall apart. So I used the same voice I use at work when someone is bleeding and I need them to listen. No, I said. They tracked her, coached her to lie, and tried to corner us in public. They've already told her she'll live with them. That isn't care. That's control. The judge didn't blink. Temporary order, he said. The child remains with the mother. Petitioners will have no contact except supervised visitation as approved by the court. Any further interference will result in sanctions. Nita's shoulders sagged like she'd been wounded. Aaron stared straight ahead. Jace looked like someone had finally turned on the lights in a room he'd been hiding in. Outside the courthouse, Talia exhaled. We did it, she whispered. But my relief was thin. Because paper isn't a lock, and righteous people don't stop just because you told them no. That night, I tucked Maya into bed at Talia's while my apartment locks were being changed and my closets were being searched. She hugged her stuffed bunny and stared up at me. Am I staying with you? She asked. Always, I said. No one gets to take you from me. Her voice got smaller. Grandma, Nita said she's the only one who can keep me safe. I swallowed the rage and kept my voice gentle. Safe isn't someone who needs secrets, I told her. Safe isn't someone who makes you practice lies. Maya nodded slowly, like she was saving that sentence for later. In the weeks after, Gavin's license went under review. Nita's attorney stopped calling like he'd run out of air. Jace texted apologies that sounded like press releases. Aaron disappeared from church. I changed everything. New locks, a new route to school, a code word for emergencies, and a formal request at my job to keep my schedule confidential. And I filed for a restraining order against Jace too because I was worried doesn't erase what he did, and because I refused to teach my daughter that love is a man patting your pockets. Before this ends, drop a comment and tell me, if a relative truly believes they're saving a child, does that ever justify stalking, lying, and breaking into a home? Where's the line between care and control? The last message I got from Nita came in a card with a Bible verse. Inside, one sentence in her neat handwriting. One day, Maya will understand who really loved her. I stared at it, then fed it into the shredder, because love doesn't hunt a child. And if your family ever tries to save your kid by stealing them, that's not saving. That's war.